Hi, welcome to another video. So, AIDER has received some new upgrades. The updates are quite small, so I'll glance over them and then we'll try them out. But because the updates aren't that significant, I wanted to show the setup of using the QwQ model as the Architect and Qwen 2.5 coder as the editor model, and how it can be the best way to use AIDER locally and get comparable results to Sonnet while being local. So first of all, let's talk about the updates. After the last video I did about updates, there have been two main updates. The first one, after my video, added a new option to add model aliases. So now, you can add aliases for models using the alias flag. So, you can alias any model to a small flag. So, that's cool. There's also a new No Detect URLs option that basically allows you to disable detecting and offering to scrape URLs found in the chat. This is good if you don't like being bugged about scraping a URL every time you paste a URL in a big text. So, that's good. Another great thing that will help a lot of us is that Ollama models now default to an 8K context window. This is actually great because all the Ollama models you use had a default context length of 2K, even if the model supports more. So, now that's fixed by defining a context length in the request itself, which now resolves this issue, and you should have a better experience with Ollama models. There's also increased support for Dart and Flutter, which is great. The editor command is also now better and will allow you to use inline commands at the start of the prompt if needed. So, that's good. So, these are the major updates in this version. In the next update, which is also the latest one, it added support for reading PDFs for Sonnet and Gemini models. So now, you can reference any PDF file in it, and it can read that PDF file, and you can ask it to do anything based on its context, which is quite cool if you have big project requirements or something. It has also added a voice input device to select the audio input device for voice recording. This means that if you use the speech features of AIDER, you can now select the input device to be something other than the default one if you'd want. There's also a new time option to configure API call timeouts. Basically, you can now make sure that AIDER doesn't time out automatically if your API is slow for some reason. Also, if you now run shell commands, it will automatically set the current working directory to the repo root when running shell commands, which is good if you run AIDER in SRC or something. There's also a new Control+ up and down keyboard shortcut for per-message history navigation, which is also great. There are also some more bug fixes to make the experience much better. But now, let's test these features out, and let me also show you how you can use it with QwQ as Architect and Qwen 2.5 coder as the editor to get the greatest results locally that I have seen yet. Plus, I'll also tell you how you can do all that for free, even if you don't want to run it locally. So, first of all, make sure that you update AIDER by running pip install upgrade AIDER chat. Once done, we can test out the new features. Now, first of all, we now have the alias option. So, if you use a model with a big name, you can now create an alias for it by using AIDER with the alias flag, and then you can just use that with the model alias you had created. It's quite cool. Apart from this, if you use Ollama models, you'll now have a better experience because the context limit is now set dynamically to 8K, which will yield better results and is great. There's also a new No Detect URLs flag, which basically disables the scraping asking feature when you put a URL in any prompt. So, that's good. The editor command also now allows you to use inline commands at the start of the prompt, which is also great for writing big prompts with inline commands. Another thing that you can now do is that you can reference PDFs in the chat, and it can read that PDF and take that into context, and then you ask it to do anything based on that context, which is also quite cool to use and works pretty well. Now, let me show you how you can get great results locally and the best setup to use AIDER locally with Qwen's new QwQ model alongside the Qwen 2.5 coder model. So now, you can configure both these models locally and run them at fairly quick speeds with Ollama. Although, if you run them via Ollama, the result will be a little worse because Ollama uses quantization, which, in layman's terms, means the model is compressed a bit, making it smaller, but it comes at the cost of quality. However, it's not a big loss, so you can still run it. But even to run it, you'll need something like a 4090 GPU, which can run it at reasonable speeds. I don't have one, and most probably, not everyone would have it. But if you don't want to pay, but still want to use it, you can use GLHF. It's free as of now, and allows you to run the QwQ and Qwen 2.5 coder with an API for free with very generous rate limits. So, let me show you how you can set both the models in architect mode and editor mode and use them. First of all, just get your API key and base URL from GLHF, and then go to your terminal. You can either export the environment variables for the base URL and API key, or create an env file and put it in there. This will allow you to use it every time, even if you close your terminal and open it again. So, just get it done. Once done, you'll also need to set the architect model and editor model. So, you can create an AIDER config file, and in that, you can enable architect mode and enter the default model as QwQ and editor model as Qwen 2.5 coder like this. Once you have set it up, you can run AIDER, and you'll see that you have the architect mode enabled, and we can now use it. I have a basic Expo app, and I'm going to ask it to make a water intake tracker app that looks sleek and modern. Let's send it and see. Okay, so here, you can see that QwQ is planning the stuff. It generates the plan and some code as well. I'm using the architect and editor mode here because QwQ is good at planning, but it's not good at coding, and Qwen is good at coding, but it's not good at planning. So, we're putting these two models together to get even better results. And you can probably run both models locally as well. It's like a local version of O1 and Sonnet. By the way, this is a prompt that Qwen cannot solve correctly and always ends up with an error. So, it's doing that now. Let's wait a bit. And it's now done. So, if I run it, you can see that this works pretty well and looks pretty good. If you run the same prompt with just Qwen 2.5 coder, you get an error as it does some wrong stuff. But this setup fixes it, so this is a really great option to use locally. You can also go ahead and use it. So that's all for the new updates it has, and it keeps getting amazing. Overall, it's pretty cool. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you liked this video, consider donating to my channel through the Super Thanks option below, or you can also consider becoming a member by clicking the Join button. Also, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, bye.